Big shout out to Tuscaloosa Ford for allowing me to shoot this vehicle. If you're looking for any other Ford vehicle, hit them up, ask for my guy Jay Spates, and they'll get with you. Thanks again. Enjoy the review. This is a Mustang GT, or at least that's what Ford says it is. I guess the real question is this a Mustang GT? Well, when you look at the specs, it makes 480 horsepower, same as last year's Mach 1, over 600 foot-pounds of torque. It does 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, and the 20-inch wheels wrapped in Pirellis are bolted up to Ford's Magnerized suspension, and slowing everything down is a large set of Brembo brakes. And this obviously being an SUV and not the two-door coupe means it has tons of storage space in the trunk, and being electric means it has a trunk in the front. Exterior styling clearly has a ton of Mustang heritage, and in person, I think it looks the part. The inside got seating for 5, a 15.5-inch touchscreen display featuring Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, a glass roof, some comfortable seats, a B&O sound system, and some dope tech that you would want like a wireless charging pad, one-pedal drive, Ford's Blue Cruise, and plenty more where that came from. Wrap all of this up in the vapor blue paint with the flake, and you off to a good start. And with the prices tested being a little over 70 grand before rebate, would you choose this over, well? Oh my goodness. All right, y'all, so here we are inside the 2023 Mustang Mach E GT Performance. We're gonna take this thing for a drive and just talk a little bit about if it's a replacement for something like, what I would consider a real Mustang GT. But yeah, we're gonna get inside, we're gonna take this thing for a drive and see how she does. Right now we have it in whisper mode, so we are gonna set off. All right, so right now, before I get started, what I will say as I wait on traffic, so the steering wheel to me, to be honest, for this to be a GT or a GT performance car, I think the steering wheel is a bit on the thin side. After driving the 2024 Mustang GT, I really wish it had a bit of a thicker steering wheel. I like the beefier steering wheel. This one is sort of thin. So it doesn't feel, I guess, maybe as sporty as something like the standard V8 Mustang GT. But it is a nice steering wheel altogether, I will say that much. One pedal driving is on right now, which normally in electric cars I don't ever really use. This isn't my first run with electric cars before, but yeah, one pedal driving is on, so we'll see how that goes. So with the Mustang Mach E GT Performance, the performance comes standard with the Magnerized suspension. So as we go and traverse some of these more bouncy roads, we're gonna test that out and see how comfortable it is. The seats in these are actually very comfortable. This is my first time driving a Mach E, but the seats are very comfortable. I fit in them well. They hug me very nice. They have some decent bolstering. The cushion feels good. The lumbar positioning feels good. We are in whisper mode, so the Mach E has 3 modes. It has whisper, engaged, and unbridled. It also has, well, I guess for technically, it has unbridled extend, which is more so the mode for if you're going to track it. If you're going to track this car and you put it on unbridled extend, it'll give you a more consistent battery or power delivery over a longer period of time. But if you want to just, test the speed and see how it goes, then your standard unbridled mode would be what you would use for that. So right now we're in whisper. Again, one pedal drive is activated. We'll switch over to engage and see how it feels. I don't know if you can hear or if the mic's picking it up, but I do have the propulsion sound on, and it's kind of a low, grumbly kind of noise. I don't mind it. I do kind of actually prefer them, but I do understand why some people don't like them. So as we turn into some more curvy roads, I'm actually going to go to unbridled mode and see how the Magnerized suspension feels. So I'm using on this road before, and this is a bumpy road, but the Magnerized suspension actually feels really good. It feels really smooth. Like it going through and hitting some of these dips and these divots, you may be able to see the shakes in the camera, but it really does soak a lot of these bumps up fairly nicely. So man, this suspension feels really, really good. There is a car in front of me. I'm gonna turn this one pedal drive off. I do not want the one pedal drive on. Oh well, yeah. So already with the one pedal drive off. So with one pedal drive on, when you take your foot off the pedal, it automatically starts to brake for you. One of the things I don't like about that is it starts applying brakes maybe before I actually want them. So I just turned the one pedal drive off, and it feels a lot better with one pedal drive off. With unbridled mode on, we're going to turn onto a straight and see how it pulls. So one thing about electric cars is they all have instant torque. The one thing we know about electric cars is that, when you floor them, they can make you feel sick. They all pull. But is that enough for someone to get the satisfaction like they would out of, stomping a V8 or, a turbo 4, straight 6, flat 6, whatever the case? Is the torque enough? Because, I mean, to be honest, after you do it so many times, you kind of get used to it. But we'll pull onto this straight and we'll see how it feels. I'm going to stop. Hey, that's some good pickup right there. So yeah, the GT Performance has all-wheel drive. So you have two motors. There's a dual motor setup, and when you floor it, just like many other electric cars, it pulls. It puts you back in the seat. I do like the propulsion sound. I think the sound sounds pretty cool. But again, if you don't like it, it's just a flip of a switch. You turn it off. All right. So one of the big things about electric cars that people, tend to fear the most is obviously range anxiety. So the Mach E and the GT Performance trim gets about 250 miles to a full charge. So in electric cars, usually I prefer a mileage that's over 300 or at least 300. To me, I think that should be the standard, but you do sacrifice some range to get the extra performance. And with the dual motor setup, a lot of times you sacrifice range, usually across the board on many different electric cars. So the single motor rear wheel drive only Mach E gets more range than the GT and the GT Performance does. So if range is what you're after, then definitely don't go for this model. But if you want some speed and you want some performance, then this is the model that's, supposedly designed for you. If you're like me, you love V8s, you love manual transmissions, you love sports cars for what they are. That gives them their character. Everything about the car, from when you start it up to hearing it, that all goes into, the emotion and the feel, the soul, so to speak. One of the biggest complaints about electric vehicles is that they have no soul. And I totally understand that. Again, this is not being my first electric car I've ever driven or taken for a long drive or road trip or whatever. I can honestly say I feel like a lot of times once you get in one and experience, at least, the instant torque, the passing power when you're on the interstate, once you kind of experience one electric car, you almost kind of experience all of them. I wouldn't say that that's the case for every electric car, because obviously you have electric vehicles that are, take a Tesla Model S Plaid, for example, 1,000 horsepower. I've never driven, a Model S Plaid and seen what 1,000 electric horsepower and 1,100 foot-pounds of torque is really like. So that will obviously be crazier than this. But again, a lot of electric cars are very smooth. They're very quiet. They usually are loaded with technology. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but that can, lend them to be a bit more on the stale side and not have the emotion and the engagement that, many people want. And in a little while, we'll take this on, a little bit curvier road, and we'll see, how it turns, how it goes around some curves, if it has any kind of real feel as far as, feeling like you're really driving a performance vehicle. But one of the biggest things about, as we go back into unbridled mode on this straight, one of the biggest things about electric cars is that they lack a soul. But they pack a punch. Woo! Another one of the things that, many people find issue with when it comes to electric cars is, really infrastructure. To me, I think that's the biggest drawback, at least depending on where you live. Infrastructure is the biggest drawback when it comes to electric cars. So here in the South, charging stations are not very common. I do know where there are some few fast chargers from Electrify America. But charging stations are, not the easiest thing to come by. Now, granted, if you do buy an electric car, I think it is beneficial to have a charger installed in your home. But, people may not want to do that or may not be able to afford to, or whatever the case may be. Still, having the luxury of being able to go pull up to a fast charger and be able to charge anytime, nearly anywhere within the city that you live, is a perk that most people honestly don't really have. So that's a big drawback, because if you live in rural areas, then that only intensifies the range anxiety that you have. So the biggest question most people probably ask themselves or ask anybody who has one of these is, is it a Mustang? Does it deserve the Mustang nameplate? While this doesn't give me the exact same feelings, it never really could, because it obviously doesn't have the V8. It does give me the laughs. It does give me the styling that I like. And it's, again, it's a 4-door SUV. It is a 4-door Mustang SUV. It's a very quick, very great performing, head turning, comfortable to drive, everyday capable vehicle. So in spirit, yeah, it is a Mustang, and I'm not too angry at Ford for going this route from a marketing standpoint and from a design standpoint. I actually love the way it's designed. Now, would this be even cool as a 4-door SUV with a 5-liter Coyote? Of course it would be, but that's not what we have. We have the all-electric version, and to be honest, I really do like it. The thing about electric cars, man, is that if you're like me and you're a car guy who loves, shifting your own gears or being in touch with the sound of a car, feeling the vibrations through, you're never really gonna ever be able to replace that with an electric car. That's just not the case. So if you are interested in a Mach E, I think you should definitely go to your dealer and try one out. If you want this specific one, you should come to Tuscaloosa Ford. Ask for my guy Jay Spates, and he will get with you. Shout out to Tuscaloosa Ford for, again, allowing me to review this vehicle. Come down, check him out, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.